All right, everyone, this is video 3 of chapter 2 of Siddhartha. We're going to reread a little bit of what Siddhartha said because it's quite shocking. Siddhartha says that his time with the samanas, I could have learned more quickly and easily. I could have learned more quickly and easily with prostitutes and gamblers. And Siddhartha says, what is meditation? What is abandonment of the body? What is fasting? What is holding of breath? It's a flight from the self. It's just a temporary escape from the torment of the self. The self being torment? Do you think torment every day is torment? I have felt it at one point in my life. I remember thinking, I can never stop thinking. We are like sharks. Sharks don't have a swim bladder, so they have to keep swimming all the time. They can never stop. What happens if they stop? They sink. They sink to the bottom. In the same way, our brains never stop. They never stop thinking. And at some times of our lives, it can seem to be torment. When you have to get up every day for work, and you realize you're older and you've been doing the same things. It sometimes can be a torment. But Siddhartha is so young and he thinks this. It's a temporary palliative, like a drug or a medicine, against the pain and folly of life. The driver of oxen makes the same flight when he takes a drug or drinks some wine or anything like that. He finds what Siddhartha and Govinda find when they escape their bodies by long exercises and dwell in the non-self. Okay? So, Govinda is shocked, So Siddhartha says at one point that he doesn't know what it's like to be a drunkard because he's never been a drunkard. Okay. On another occasion, when Siddhartha left the wood with Govinda in order to beg for food for their brothers and teachers, Siddhartha began to speak and said, "Well, Govinda, are we on the right road? Are we gaining knowledge? Are we approaching salvation? Or are we perhaps going in circles, we who thought to escape from the cycle of birth and redeath, the cycle of being like everyone else, like the person that joined the rock band because they didn't want to be like everyone else, and then they realize they go to the doctor and have kids and eat just like everyone else." Maybe it's somewhat similar. Govinda said, "We have learned much, Siddhartha. There still remains much to learn. We are not going in circles, we are going upward. We are going upward. Almost like a vulture, when you circle, it can circle upward like this. The path is a spiral. We have already climbed many steps." Siddhartha replied, "How old do you think is our oldest samana, our worthy teacher?" Govinda said, "I think the eldest would be about 60 years old." And Siddhartha said, "He is 60 years old and has not attained nirvana. He will be," nirvana is truly the loss of the self. This is what the Buddha says that you should look for. The escape from the cycle of rebirth and rebirth and death. He's 60 years old and has not attained nirvana. He will be 70 and 80 years old, and you and I, we shall grow old as he, and do exercises and fast and meditate, but we will not attain nirvana, neither he nor we. Govinda, I believe that amongst all the samanas, probably not even one will attain nirvana. We find consolations. We call it consolation prizes when you don't win, but they give you a prize on the side, like, here's a $100 certificate. I know you didn't win the game. We find consolations. We learn tricks with which to deceive ourselves. But the essential thing, the true way to Brahman, Atman, the world soul, we do not find. "Do not utter such dreadful words, Siddhartha," said Govinda. "How could it be that amongst so many learned men, amongst so many Brahmins, amongst so austere and worthy samanas, amongst so many austere and worthy samanas, amongst so many seekers, so many devoted to the inner life, so many holy men, none will find the right way? We all know this. For me, if I find the biggest library, then I'll find truth. But that library will hold more information, but will it hold something that makes me escape from life? Probably not. I can take ayahuasca, I can take drugs and see great things, but does it make me escape from myself? We still need to build our lives, right? Siddhartha, however, said in a voice which contained as much grief as mockery. We have friendships like this, right? We do this with our close friends. We kind of mock them. There can be some fighting among close friends, right? But I think also Siddhartha is frustrated because no one's on his level. And I think that's actually true here. We know people like this. You know, maybe you know a sports player that he plays near you, but he gets bored because no one's as good as him or her. No one's as good as them. They need more competition, right? Well, I think Siddhartha's feeling that here, that even his close friend, he loves his close friend, but his close friend has no idea what Siddhartha's talking about, right? Siddhartha, however, said in a voice that contained as much grief as mockery, in a soft, somewhat sad, somewhat jesting voice, "Soon, Govinda, your friend will leave the path of the samanas along with his whom he has traveled. Soon, Govinda, your friend will leave the path of the samanas, along with whom he has traveled with you so long. I suffer thirst, Govinda." What kind of thirst? "I suffer thirst, Govinda, and on this long samana path, my thirst has not grown less. I have always thirsted for knowledge. I have always been full of questions. Year after year I have questioned the Brahmans. Year after year I have questioned the holy Vedas. Perhaps, Govinda, it would have been equally good, equally clever, and holy if I had questioned the rhinoceros or the chimpanzee." Again, I don't think there are rhinoceroses in India. I think Hesse had this a little wrong. He's from the 1800s. He was probably just maybe learning about India. I don't know. I don't think there's chimpanzees either. I could be wrong. Let me know if I'm wrong. But listen to how radical this is. He's questioned the Brahmins and he's questioned the holy Vedas, like the Upanishads did. Perhaps, Govinda, it would have been equally good, equally clever and holy if I had questioned the rhinoceros or the chimpanzee. He's saying the holy Vedas, the Brahmins, all of them, they're just like talking to an animal. That's pretty shocking. "I have spent a long time and have not yet finished in order to learn this, Govinda, that one can learn nothing." Wow. So he's thirsted for knowledge, and he's come to the belief that he can learn nothing. "There is, so I believe, in the essence of everything, something we cannot call learning. There is, my friend, only a knowledge that is everywhere. That is Atman. That is in me and you and in every creature. And I am beginning to believe that this knowledge has no worse enemy than the man of knowledge than learning." This is really, really significant. So if it's just Hesse that's writing this, it wouldn't mean anything. But the Buddha has said some of the same things. I have to study the Buddha more. But even Rumi, such a learned poet, he said, "Don't read books. That's not the way to the beloved. That's not the way." Right? Even Jesus, he summed up what the law and the prophets were. I think it was love your neighbor and love God, something like that. Listen to what he's saying. In order to learn this, Govinda, that one can learn nothing. You can't learn what is important, according to him. There is, so I believe, the essence of everything. The essence is the essence of that's hard to. It's the core of something and the thing that makes it what it is. In the essence of everything, something that we cannot call learning. There is something we cannot call learning. So there's something more than learning. Just like Brahman is beyond thought and language, Atman is as well. It can't be reached by thought. In the same way, there is something beyond that is really the essence of everything that we can't call learning. Remember, I said with Brahman, actually we said about this, but what about if we open a seed? If you open the seed, can you find the life that makes the seed grow? Maybe science would say that you can find a lot of things like the DNA and everything like this, but we really haven't found what makes life happen. How do we learn this thing? You know, this is what he's saying. I'm not saying that that's totally true. I'm saying that that's what he's saying. There is, my friend, only a knowledge that is everywhere. That is Atman, the world soul, and Atman is in you. That is in me and you and every creature. And I am beginning to believe that this knowledge has no worse enemy than the man of knowledge, than learning. That learning actually keeps you from this. It's quite the shocking statement. The Buddha also mirrored this, and so did Jesus, and to some extent, some others as well. So I did note here that Hesse seems to be, this is me here, Hesse seems to be alluding to Jesus of the Gospels here as well. So yeah, I think this is exactly what I was saying, that he's really he's taking a radical approach to Hinduism at that time. So Jesus was found, in the Gospels, Jesus was found when he was like 12, I think, in the temple, and he was talking to the priests and the educated people, and they were astounded at his learning. They were astounded. But he was only 12. So what had he learned? Again, I'm not going to say whether that's real or not. But in the same way, Siddhartha is seeing things that other people aren't seeing. And he's breaking with tradition. So did the Buddha. But Hesse is breaking even from the Buddha here. He's making his own. Okay, but remember that Hesse comes from a Christian background, so a lot of the things we'll find that creep in at certain points, and I'll try to point that out. Okay, thereupon Govinda stood still in the path, raised his hands, and said, "Siddhartha, do not distress your friend with such talk. Truly your words trouble me. Think, what meaning would our holy prayers have? The venerableness of the Brahmins, the respectedness of the Brahmins, the holiness of the Samanas, if, as you say, there's no learning. What would be the meaning of all these things if there's no learning? Siddhartha, what would become of everything? What would be holy on earth? What would be precious or sacred?" Govinda murmured a verse to himself, a verse from one of the Upanishads. "He whose reflective, pure spirit sinks into Atman knows bliss inexpressible through words." Govinda doesn't even know what he's saying here. He's talking about learning, but listen to what he says. He who's reflective is like when you look at this and you see it reflect off. Reflective and pure spirit sinks into Atman, knows bliss inexpressible through words. This is what Siddhartha has been saying. Govinda doesn't even realize it. He thinks it's through learning. Siddhartha has been saying this same thing. That when you sink into Atman, there's bliss. And he's saying that learning is not the way to sink into Atman. Siddhartha was silent. He dwelt long on the words which Govinda had uttered. Yes, he thought, standing with bowed head, what remains from all that seems holy to us? What remains? What is preserved? And he shook his head. So we're going to stop here and start up a new video. I want to point out, excuse me, this question. This is a lot of times why we hang on to things that don't work for us. Siddhartha, what would become of everything? What would be holy on earth? What would be precious and sacred if we don't have learning? Siddhartha is looking for experience. And Govinda is trying to stop him and say, we've already had the way marked out for us by others. We need to follow them. People that are older like me, we know that it's a both and here. Yes, you need learning. Yes, you need others. But also, they can't help you with some things. All your learning cannot help you with some things. They can't help you with grief. The grief takes you into a place that is unreachable by learning. You have to experience it, and everybody experiences it. You know, does it not be affected by learning? I don't know about that, but it really is. We're talking about when you start breaking down these things that these are the learned people, that it breaks down your idea of what is right and what is wrong. And your fear is, if I experience life, what if I find out I'm a terrible person? Isn't it better to go along as people have taught me, even though I want something more? Because what if I find out I'm a bad person? What if I find out that I love drinking so much and I just ruined my life? What if, what if, what if? In some ways, nothing can be learned without trying. How do you start learning a sport without trying that sport? How do you start learning cricket without getting hit by the ball? Right? A lot of times what's in your mind before you do something, it has nothing to do with reality. And you're afraid of who you are. You're afraid, am I a good person? Who am I? And so it's easier to hide from yourself. This is what we're coming across here. And it's hard. But here's the key. He whose reflective pure spirit sinks into Atman knows bliss inexpressible through words. That is what Siddhartha's been trying to say this whole time. And Siddhartha's stopping and he's going to think on this, what Govinda just said. You know, what is preserved? What is preserved? What remains when you learn something? Okay? And we'll start next. Let's see where we're at. We've got a ways to go, but I think we might finish this next time. Okay? Make sure to like and subscribe. And do you know someone else who's trying to learn English or it has a good grasp of English but needs to learn to read books, to get deeper into English? Make sure to tell them about this channel, okay? And like, subscribe, hit the bell icon, comment, and hit us up on RJK English, and let's talk as well, okay? All right, see you next time.